WLP Philadelphia. Soccer-based sports talk covering local, nation, and global soccer. Broadcasting from the Philly Cam studio in Center City, Philadelphia on 106.5 FM.
Welcome to World Sports Show. Charlie Flo here. And welcome to World Sports Show. Charlie Flo here on Monday, February 20th. Beautiful, cool evening here in Philadelphia. We've had an amazing weekend. Temperatures in the 70s. A lot of football to be talked about tonight. We have a very special guest in studio tonight, Nikki Driesse from the Orlando Pride and Penn State women's soccer. So a lot to cover, you guys. And Nicolette, thank you for making the drive in all the way from Happy Valley tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So a little bit of a hike for you tonight. So good to make the drive. And a big shout out to your father here in the studio, just hanging out, checking it out. So also wearing your Orlando Pride jumpsuit. So always good, wearing your professional team's gear. But a lot to talk about tonight. We'll break down an interview with you, go over your career and everything you've gone through, in your soccer career and looking into your professional career. So one of the big lead-in stories of the night of this past week in soccer and Champions League action, they started the round of 16 this past week. PSG crushed Barcelona by a score of 4-0. Benfica edged Dortmund 1-0. On Wednesday, the games continue with Real Madrid beating Napoli 3-1, Bayern Munich handing Arsenal a 5-1 beatdown.
Whoa.
5-1.
That almost made our end of the session or end of the show 5-1.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big score.
Yeah, John started up something about 2 weeks ago. This is our regular segment called Round the World Butt Whippings.
Yeah, so what we do is we have a segment on professional scores, preferably 5-0, 6-0. So there's some pretty impressive scores. We'll get to it at the end of the show.
Yeah, so
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Also, another action this weekend, the FA Cup resumed with the fifth round. Today, Sutton United battled Arsenal to a 1-0 loss. Very good for that program. You're looking to break down that team. Lincoln City shocked Burnley with a score of 1-0. In the 90th minute, Millwall upset Leicester City 1-0. Tottenham beat Fulham by a score of 3-0 at Creighton Cottage. Manchester United narrowly beat Blackburn 2-1. Chelsea beat Wolves 2-0. Middlesbrough 3-2 over Oxford United. Huddersfield drew Manchester City 0-0. In NWSL news, some of the information has come out in the last few weeks that the Women's National Soccer League will increase player minimum in 2017 to up to about $15,000. In 2016, the minimum salary was about $7,000, so you're looking at doubling their base salary.
It's about time.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's go again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So another little stat that we'll throw in there, we're going to break down the story on that, is the lowest salary in the MLS in 2016 was just over $50,000. So just a little number game there.
Yeah, and that was after, I believe, the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah.
There was a union player making $36,000, played almost every game during the season.
Yeah.
Ray Gaddis.
Yep. So also in news is Arsenal played tribute this past weekend to ex-England forward Kelly Smith. They had a little tribute game. Smith, in her England time, played in 46 international goals and 117 appearances for England. She did not play the game because she recently announced that she's pregnant, but she coached her All-Star team. It's called the All-Star 11, and they lost to the current Arsenal squad by a score of 4-2. It's kind of neat because Haya was now playing for the Gunners, so it's good to see a former U.S. national team player strapping on the boots for Arsenal. And Philadelphia Union this past weekend played a preseason game against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, won by a score of 1-0. goal from Derek Jones. Up next, the Union will face Montreal Impact this Wednesday night, 7 p.m.
Local Derek Jones.
Yes.
To add. I'm just I've been around soccer for a long time, but I just want to ask you about testimonial and like games.
We don't have that
for
in America.
Players. Is it? Why not?
I
mean, you
love
got
that,
great
man.
players, national team players.
Wouldn't you like that, Nicolette? Have a testimonial for Penn State, just to get that one more time to put on the nitty line and just go out there. Like we do see in colleges. We do have that at Philly U. We have alumni game every year around our homecoming. Our homecoming games usually about 3 o'clock kick off, and sometimes about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Alumni come out and play the coaches and stuff like that. I wasn't able to make it this year, but you do hear of alum, but a testimonial. Mm-hmm. We just don't have that in America for anything.
Right.
No sport. But it's a big deal. Like over stadiums and like in Manchester United, you have players like legends, like your Bobby Moores will have a game for players like that. They'll just go out there and you'll get the best of the best. And these guys that never even played for the team just come out and show up in masses. And quite a few thousand people came out to this game for Kelly Smith.
That's good. Well deserved.
Yeah, so, she unfortunately couldn't play because of her pregnancy, but, just letting her be on the sideline and coaching, a bunch of former players against a bunch of current players. And, hey, anytime former players can put up a 4-2 loss against current players, I would consider that a victory.
Right.
You get the old people strapping on the boots, you never know what can happen. So I'm sure they might take it a little bit easy on them because those games, there's not a lot of physical contact. Right. So, but a lot of fun. Also looking forward, the 2017 She Believes Cup will get underway March 1st in Chester, Pennsylvania, with a doubleheader of England versus France at 4 p.m., followed up by 7 o'clock U.S. Women's National Team versus Germany.
We've had people email us in mailbag@worldsportshow.com. People can hit us up, and we do have our mailbag segment during the show, but we will be down at the game. We're local to Philadelphia. Chester's only maybe 15 minutes down the road, so we will be at that game.
Very, very, very convenient for me since I work at Chester Community Charter School, which is about 1.2 miles from the stadium.
Yep. Yeah. And it seems like every game starts out a little bit cold, just because of the time of the year, but, warms up a little bit.
It's so hard to predict what the weather's going to be like. This past weekend here in Philadelphia, you got 70 degrees. This was the weekend they go out and knock the ball around outside. People are busting out the shorts. So how was the weather in Happy Valley this weekend?
It was beautiful. Nice and sunny, kind of like Orlando.
Yeah.
I was getting the Orlando feels a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So also in the She Believes Cup, there's a March 4th game, Saturday, March 4th in North Jersey. France versus Germany, followed up by U.S. women versus England. And the tournament will wrap up on Tuesday, March 7th at RFK Stadium in D.C. with England versus Germany and U.S. women versus France. All four of these teams you could debate have a legit shot of winning this cup.
Right, and I was going to follow up on that. Is it fair to say that none of the teams want to lose?
No, dude.
I know the teams want to see some, maybe try something different tactically or put it, have a player that hasn't played before on the team, but I don't think anybody's coming here to lose.
No, this is one of those off years where we don't have a World Cup on the men or women's level. There's no Copa America. There's no Gold Cup. So there's no major tournament for the women to enter this year. You've got the She Believes Cup and the Cyprus Cups. Those are the two bigger cups for women's soccer this year. So I think this is the one where you're coming to the U.S., especially France, being the team that's going to be hosting the next Women's World Cup. And they're the ones that I think are I'd say early second-place favorites, because to be the champ, you got to knock off the champ. U.S. women are always going to be the favorite, especially as the defending champions. But I think right now you're looking at England's success in the past World Cup, getting third. France, a little disappointment, but they're going to be hosting next World Cup. And Germany, who U.S. narrowly beat, even though you don't look at the scoreline at 2-0, it's a big difference. But, you're looking at a missed PK against the U.S. in the semifinals, then we're looking at Germany probably being the champion.
That's right.
So it's going to be a very big test for a lot of these players. They're trying to stay fit, and plus Jill Ellis is going to get a chance to look at a lot of the new players, a lot of those U23 players we see kind of mixed in there, or U20s almost some too, mixed in there and seeing, what kind of lineup. Because that all three of those countries, other than the U.S., they're going to bring their A squad.
I'm sure. They don't come here to lose.
Nah.
Right. Definitely not.
So it'll definitely be interesting to watch those match. I believe as of now, all the U.S. women's game will be on the FS1 and Fox networks. We're not sure about the other games. John and I have been talking to a couple of the broadcast rights holders, which is Fox, about the other games. We don't see anything on the listing, but they've told us they have the rights too. So we're still waiting to see if they're going to be broadcast on radio, which we were told they're going to be broadcast on radio. So we're still waiting to hear about the other games, like for example, like the England-France. It would blow my mind if that's not broadcast somewhere.
It's got to be broadcast.
It's got to be. They have the rights to it, but there's nothing listed for that. So we'll try to see if we can get some news. We'll contact Fox this week and see if they can give us some update if it'll be online somewhere. I mean that's a marquee matchup. Two of the best, especially 4:00 our time. You're looking back in England and France. That's right in their prime time.
Our time. I like that. 2:00 our time.
Our time. 4:00 our time, which would be 5:00. 10:00 back over in Europe. So a lot to talk about. Also, news-wise, I think the big thing we want to break down is these FA Cup games and these Champions League games. I mean, I think the big shocker this past week on Valentine's Day, PSG handed Barcelona a 4-0 thrashing, and it's their first leg. But, I mean, you're talking PSG going to Barcelona with a 4-0 lead and didn't give up that important road goal. I mean, really, any type of goal PSG gets, man, they're in the driver's seat and they're going on the next round.
Just thinking, game aside, the whole reason why I kind of like the concept of it kind of gives, I don't want to say guys like us, but, guys a chance. Like, there's a chance that maybe we can get on that beer league team who magically makes this run.
Yeah.
And we play against the greats around the world.
No, it's true. With Champions League, and especially slimmer, FA Cup, man. It's just that.
It's that chance.
You look at the FA Cup, how the trek that Sutton United went through. You're talking to players that have 9 to 5 jobs, and I'm watching the game today, and they're mentioning, this guy's an insurance salesman during the day. It's like, gives John and I this hope. I mean, their backup goalkeeper, 46-year-old, 260-pound goalkeeper that at halftime was manning the supporters' bar. I mean,
that's awesome.
I mean, John and I have played a lot of beer league soccer together, and I've served under John. I've always been John's backup keeper. Even though I'm on the field, I'm always served as John's backup. Only a few times I maybe started over you because you were running late and stuck in traffic. I think that's the only time I ever started over you because you were stuck in traffic. Hey. But it's just unheard of a player at halftime going and serving beers to the supporters, and he was eating a meat pie.
Right.
In the 8th minute.
During the game.
I flipped out of one of my goalkeepers a few years ago, Penn State Brandywine, because it was a game where I've mentioned before where I used 3 keepers in one game. And I caught my third-string keeper eating a bag of chips on the bench, and I almost lost my cool.
What happens if they're baked?
It doesn't matter, dude. Just have a weird rule about like eating, but like
Agreed.
so close. It's like, dude, like but I'm third-string coach. I'm like, it's just. I think it's just the differences of programs and differences of player mentalities of different programs from your JUCOs to your big NCAA, where I'm sure. Nikki, you were never, if you were sitting a game, you're not over there eating some beef jerky saying, I ain't getting in.
No, not beef jerky.
Was there ever a rule that you had, like as a player, I always had a 2.5-2 hour rule. I would never put anything in my body food-wise 2 hours before a game. Like just food-wise. Yeah. Everybody's a little different.
I mean, for me personally, I can't really eat like a meal. Like a heavy meal 2 hours before.
Yeah.
But definitely putting something in my body.
Like snack-wise, I guess.
And then maybe a banana like an hour before.
Yeah, that's acceptable. I'm not talking like you're eating a whole spread.
No.
Right. Not chips. That's a little bit different. Or like a bag of chips.
Yeah,
it's like,
I know.
All right, come on. Banana,
rolling up there with a quesadilla before
if
game.
it's nutrition, if it's hot out or for something, I get it. But, to see,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is goalkeeper, especially for the third-string goalkeeper. The odds of you getting in, if you look at the Vegas odds, you have to put a handicap on what's the odds you get in this game. Right. It's like, and that's the thing where it's just interesting experiences like that. This is a keeper before. Sometimes couldn't find his gloves.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. It's like, you got your right glove on, and where's your left glove? I don't know. Well, guess what? You're left out tonight. So,
well, let me tell you something. If I'm, sitting on the pine. What I want to do, I'm impressing my coach to get in. So whatever it takes, I'm push-ups, sit-ups, do something. I'm not going to sit there. And,
that's the whole thing, too, that you and I have coached at many different levels, that I always found that the first few games of the season, all the freshmen sit next to me on the bench and start, like, chatting my ear up.
Sure.
And I usually shoot them down after about 15 minutes. Yo, coach, you going to get me in? You going to get me in? I'm like, anybody talks about playtime, dude, you ain't playing. Nothing drives a coach up the wall. Players out there listening and coaches out there, take advice. Don't ever ask about playtime when a game's already kicked off. That's the last of my concerns is and it's not to down like freshmen. It might be the 18th man on the squad, but that's the last thing you ever do. Like, because you do get a lot of players that come into college programs that are used to starting their entire life. They're not used to that role of sitting on a bench. And it's a big adjustment, but just friendly advice: don't ever ask a coach.
There you go.
If you bust your chops during practice, we notice. To me, I'd rather put in a player that's quiet on the end of the bench, doing his work and taking notes. Pay attention, and that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of young players don't realize that right now that's your classroom time. That I'm sure you went through some of those experiences, with your couple different programs you went to when you went to Florida State. You show up, don't expect to start. You use that as a learning experience because that game, I'm sure the speed from high school club soccer to ACC Big Ten soccer will probably caught you like, wow, this is really fast.
Certainly. And then, every team plays differently. You have to be paying attention to the scout and trying to apply that when you're watching. And it's not easy being on the bench, but you definitely got to support your teammates for when you're ready to get in there.
Yeah, I think this past season, 2016, I had a dream scenario. We had 5 goalkeepers, but only 2 played during the season.
What?
Yeah, but it's the way that the 3 that didn't see the field the entire season, the way that their attitude was just to push the 1 and 2 to make them better, and never once did they ask about playtime. Not one of them
awesome.
asked, and it's a really cool feeling because they show up and bust their chops, and it is as a goalkeeper, which is very hard because most likely you're only going to have 1 goalkeeper per game, and if you get a keeper on a hot streak, you leave that keeper in. It's the same thing with different field positions. I mean, you could go down to injury and your replacement comes in and she's hot, and it's so tough as a coach. If something's working, you never want to mess it up.
Yeah, definitely not.
And you have to almost accept that role as a player that, okay, what's best for the team? And I think that's another thing in coaching and programs. You have to understand that it's what's best for the team. And if you buy into that, then I think the rules of like karma and the universe equaling itself out, it'll find its way. It'll work out,
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, it was very interesting watching a lot of these FA Cup games. Did either of you guys get to watch any of these games this weekend?
Sure, at least the highlights as well.
Barcelona, PSG,
Yeah.
that was insane.
Yeah, I mean, we see these games and it's just hard to fathom that Barcelona is going to lose 4-0, and even look at the other one with Bayern Munich hammering Arsenal. I mean, that's been like a classic every year now. It seems that Bayern Munich's facing Arsenal, but Bayern Munich is just like Champions League ready. They're just coming Champions League show up.
I think they're every competition ready.
Well, yeah, that's Bayern Munich. They're just loaded.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
the only saving grace for Arsenal is they got that road goal, but you're still down a -4 going home. So, I mean, it's always interesting that what do you prefer? Do you prefer playing on the road in Champions League first, or you prefer playing at home first? I don't know if either of you have a preference. If you had to have a preference, I'll throw that at you.
I mean, you're asking me,
Yeah, if you were a coach and your team, if you had the chance,
So if I'm playing a video game and I
Sure,
get
video
there,
game.
I think I would say I would rather go on the road first.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. I'd rather go on the road first, try and get get that road goal or 2, and then come back home. But could be wrong. Depends on the seating where I'm at, what my team
It's true.
is.
Who you're playing, where you're playing, what time of the year it is.
I mean, variables aside, but what do you think?
I mean, I definitely see your perspective. I think I would like home, start off strong,
Okay.
especially on Jeffrey Field, 7:00 at night.
Oh, now you're deciding a time too, which is it is a factor. It's true. There's a lot of
Yeah.
factors of time of the year and when you want your fans to be there, because
Yeah, a lot of support and getting you hyped up and stuff. So, yeah, I think I would start off home.
yeah, unfortunately at Philadelphia University we don't have lights at our stadium because there's a kind of a rule with the neighborhood. They won't ever allow us to have lights.
It's like the Wrigley Field of soccer.
Exactly. It's like old Michigan
Big
until they put
games.
the old lights in there. That all of our weekend games can be during the day, and that's okay. But when we have our weekday games, it's 2:45 p.m. kickoff.
That's good. That's
Like on a Wednesday or Thursday. Not really, because a
you
lot of our
gain
fan
that-
base is in class.
gain that psychological advantage of the time difference. You're getting your opponents off schedule.
No, then every once in a blue moon, I kid you not, we have a teacher that won't sign a permission slip to let a kid play. We still run into that problem in Division II.
That's tough.
Wow.
I kid you not. We've had players missing for road games because a professor won't let them go on the road.
Yeah, I think that a lot of my professors at Florida State and Penn State, they were very supportive, and fortunately, yeah, I mean, that goes a long way with academics and athletics these days.
And it's not that you don't want to challenge the professor, but then you kind of look at why is this just this student athlete here? Because they chose soccer, and then this school happened to have their major. Because majority of the players we have, they chose us as a program to play. Especially when there's a couple of our foreign players that come to another country that they decided not to pursue the professional career. Hey, let me go pursue a degree and play. Then I can always look into a professional career later. That's right. So it's a lot of different factors in. And me as an educator that works at a school, I shouldn't be preaching against education, but I always preach that, hey, the kid can make up the work. I mean, we have players that bring their laptops, tablets on the road, and it's just you see some discipline and some of the college athlete stories that you don't hear in the mainstream is athletes doing work after a game. I mean, we're talking we got a 3-hour bus ride home, and these athletes are studying on the bus or reading on the bus. I'm sure you did some of that in your playing career. Did some studying on the bus or the plane.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember being on the way back from Michigan to Penn State this year, just doing my study guide, and my friends were like, "You're still going?" And I take my time, but yeah, I'm still going.
No, you have to. I mean, so... But yeah, it was a lot of good news in soccer. Like I said, the FA Cup is one of those tournaments that we have the Open Cup, but one day there have been talks about trying to have the same thing on the women's level. I would love to see that idea of the summer league teams and NWSL teams, but it would just a very hard thing to do in the United States with the lower level teams because the summer league teams are made up of college players. And you're working with a very, very tight window, and that becomes a very big issue in the Open Cup for a lot of these PDL teams that make that run. They can make a run, but so long. But eventually, come August, these PDL teams lose their college players, and then they got to get replacement players to come in, and it's just not the same squad that made that run. So we'll see. So, but did you play any summer league teams at all during your tenure? Like the W League teams?
W League. I played for New Jersey Valkyries at a TSF.
Well, it was nice kind of be at home for the summer. And
yeah, right in my backyard, probably 30 seconds away. So, yeah.
No excuse to be late for training, right?
Yeah, I found a way. You'd be surprised.
So, but, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those dreams of the Open Cup, Just give me a shot, Coach.
I dream all the time of the Open Cup. I always wanted to play. There's teams that are the lowest low. Hey,
the Brooklyn Italians, you see them every year.
Yeah, but they were a pretty successful team.
Oh yeah, they're a pretty good team. I think the dream now, John, is not to be a player on the Open Cup. Is to be maybe a coach, be on the coaching staff of a.
You're right.
Like Eric Winalda now.
I don't lace my shoes up anymore. I'm done with that.
Yeah, I laced my boots up this past Sunday. It was the first time I played outdoor in about a year and a half, and man. It's funny how fast the game is because it's different. John and I play futsal about every other week together, and it's funny. You think futsal's a fast game, but sometimes we're just making that run. I think that's what futsal's the quick action. Mm-hmm. Then I played an outdoor game, and then now I got to make a 20-yard run. Well, in futsal, the whole field's 20 yards. It's like I make 5-yard sprints, but it is different, and it touches off, and there's always that debate, whether futsal is good or bad, but it definitely has really affected my first touch, that I'm used to that futsal ball just kind of gluing to my feet. So my first touch, that's really what probably hurt me the
muscle
most.
memory. You get into the groove. That's what you're
used to. You got to have memory to have muscle memory.
Always.
Memory's gone, man.
Memory, yeah.
So, and also it's different fields of playing on turf, playing on grass, and different surfaces. So, I mean, sure you had some amazing surfaces, Nicolette, to play on at 2 different facilities. And
Absolutely.
So, but, you'll be going down to Orlando in a couple of weeks and just heading down. Are you making a drive or flying down?
I will be flying. Actually, just got my flight booked, and it will be March 3rd. So, excited for that.
Yeah, we'll definitely break down what you're going to be doing with the Orlando Pride and just your rookie season, and a second-year team that is going into a first-year proper football stadium, not having to pay rent somewhere. So a lot coming up in the next few minutes. We'll break down your career in college, your club, your high school, from when you were like 2 years old, first kicking a ball. We've got some mailbag come up with some fans having questions that we'll let you participate in. So.
Awesome.
Any other hot topics right now, John, over the weekend?
Over the weekend?
Yeah.
No, why don't we take a break, then we'll get back, then we'll get to
All right.
dive in there. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
This is Denise Adams, and you're listening to World Sports Show on WPPM 106.5 Philadelphia.
Last week on World Sports Show.
So those that are trying to get into radio, we advise you to hop on the old internet. There's a lot of different production software, editing software right now there's some really good deals on the internet right now for some deals for those, because getting into the playoff last year, I think, wouldn't say satisfied, but it kind of was, all right, you got into the playoffs. All right, we'll let you get back in the playoffs, but now doing the right thing. They have their own practice facility. They've got their own facilities there where they, when they used to have stuff at their original state.
Food brings it.
Yeah, and it's just a great setup there. They're eating and drinking before, eating and drinking after the match. You and I sometimes, if you look at it, some fancy title, man, you can be the assistant performance director.
Yeah,
so,
but
funny. I think the other neat news was Eric Winaldo going to be.
Sonia, the president, great to host us. Connected with this association back in December when I was on vacation, and they put
opportunity to get off the island, get some type of a degree, get some type of education, and not only that, but if they can't get into Philadelphia University, I'm going to do my darndest to help them get into one of the community colleges here in Philadelphia, one of the juniors and coaches and people that came in that actually care and try.
I flew her down straight to the Turks and Caicos. She tell me.
Facilities and travel situations where the food or the hotels were just atrocious. I mean, you can't.
A couple notable games here for you. Just picked out a random, going back over the weekend. Specifically picked out at random, I must say.
And now, back to the WPPM studios in Philadelphia. This is the World Sports Show.
Welcome back to World Sports Show. Charlie Flo here on WPPM LP Philadelphia. John DeCriscio, Charlie Flo, Nikki Driesse on World Sports Show. A current player with the Orlando Pride, drafted in the 4th round of the 2017 draft in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I guess that was a nice little break for you, Nikki, to go out in California and get drafted.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, LA's definitely a different lifestyle, and getting to see some old friends, girls I played with all my life, it was really cool.
So there's always that question I have to ask, so I'm glad that you got drafted and you're not sitting here as a free agent waiting for the phone to ring or somebody invite you to a camp. There's always that feeling that there are players that go to drafts on every single type of professional levels that go there thinking they're going to be a top draft pick, and their name is just never called. And I'm sure there was a little bit of nervousness going in, hearing the names just waiting. Mm-hmm. So what was that experience like, just waiting for your name to be called?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to look at the predictions and stuff you see online, or I at least try not to, really follow that, believe in it. But, you're waiting there, and you get anxious, but hoping that your name's going to get called, and just knowing that God has a plan. Whatever happens, happens, and I know that he's looking out for me.
It's also just good to be exposed to that whole convention. I'm sure you got to run into some old friends, and just seeing that, being surrounded by thousands of people that share the same, love the same sport. John and I, it's like a holiday for us when we go there. I mean, you're just running into coaches and people you might have played with 15, 10 years ago. I'm sure it was good to run into some players you've played against and played with, our coaches.
Yeah, I expected to go in there like super nervous, but I was actually I was excited. It's something that you work for your entire life, and you see all these other girls that you're competing against, maybe whether it's club or high school, wherever, or college. But I think it's really cool that we get to pursue and achieve our dreams and goals. So having that opportunity is really awesome.
And it's also a very neat mix, too, that you have players that you went up against and players you played with maybe at Florida State or Penn State. Now they're teammates. And you have teammates that are now going to be opponents.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're on the field, I think it's really cool how you could just forget about the friendships and the relationships, and you're just playing and competing, and then once you see each other after, you say hello, and it's all fun and games.
I think that's the big part, John and I, that people forget about in sport, that when the game's over, like you're just shaking hands. And the old school thing was you would go out for a meal or grab a pint with a fellow people. And some people in the sporting world, like the fans today, say, oh, I can't believe this guy and that girl had a beverage after the game or went out for dinner, that they're playing against each other. How dare them? But at the end of the day, I think that's the part of sports that John and I really got to experience when we worked for a professional team is a lot of times the road team wouldn't fly out for the next day, and they'd invite the team out, hey, we're going to this pub after the game, come out and have dinner with us. And you see that these are players that are battling on the field together, and then they're just having dinner together afterwards. And that's the way I believe it should be. A lot of the fans make the players almost enemies. They shouldn't be enemies. You might be traded to that team next week.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. Very uncertain.
Well, to the fans, they have to give a little like, hey, you're playing against your rival. It's more of a rivalry than an enemy. But
shirts, shirts versus shirts, different color shirts.
I guess, what, the casual fan doesn't understand is the brotherhood of soccer players, the network. I mean, I'm sure you've played against, like you said, many of the players, like especially the coaches, especially regional. You do see these players, and at the draft, I'm sure you got to see old faces. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you know about, some of your coaches like Tom Sermani? I mean, he's a household name in the women's soccer. Have you gotten a chance to talk to Tom yet?
Yeah, briefly a little bit here and there. After the draft, I got to talk to him. Seems like a very, very down-to-earth guy. My coach, assistant coach, Ann Cook, she actually played under him. So I know, she liked him, and I've only heard good things. So I'm really excited to see what Tom has to offer and what I can learn from him.
Yeah, it's very exciting, too, with just looking at Orlando Pride. You've got this new, beautiful stadium you guys are opening up in April, and 25,000 capacity, and they've been putting up numbers last year when Orlando came into the NWSL, and I'm sure that excites you, too, that you're playing in a world-class type of stadium.
Yeah, the fan base, the community, all the support I've gotten since the draft, and it's crazy, unreal. I appreciate it a lot.
So let's just walk us through that, actually hearing your name call, the emotions you went through when you just heard your name being called by Orlando.
So the guy says Nikki Driesse, 32nd pick, overall pick, 4th round. And there was a little pause because my best friend, Jamia Fields, sitting next to me, plays for Orlando. She was just screaming at the top of her lungs. We were the loudest ones in there by far. And Jeff, he just chuckled. So he was like, Nikki Driesse, Penn State University. So, I mean, hearing your name and the school you're representing, I couldn't be any more proud of what I'm representing.
How have your teammates taken it? Because it's interesting with a lot of these sports that you get drafted by a professional team and professional league, then you got to go back to college, and I'm sure that teammates and just fellow classmates have just been, the outpour must be great.
Happy Valley. I'm overwhelmed with support from my teammates, my roommates, my friends. They're all just really happy for me, and I think that they're all super excited for the next step in my journey. Yeah, it's an amazing feeling.
You didn't ask for an autograph yet?
Not them, but some other people back home.
That'll be the neat part, We hear about, these professional athletes that you might just be getting a cup of coffee somewhere down in Orlando and somebody's going to come up and recognize you. It's neat, the fan base in professional soccer. It's just sometimes, these players say they can't go anywhere. Somebody will just recognize you and just you'll probably be taken for a little bit of it's like a curveball. You're like, oh yeah, I'm a professional athlete now. There are fan clubs dedicated to my team.
Yeah, that's what's so great about this whole entire thing, especially with women coming into sports and whatnot. But just getting that attention and stuff, it's really cool that you see how much it's expanding.
Yeah, this is definitely a really, really good time in women's soccer here in the United States because the NWSL is going into its 5th year, and previous two leagues before just couldn't make it past year 3. It was like that curse; they just couldn't get to that 4th year. Now we have a stable league, and it's going to be around for a while. And I mean, what was your perspective just growing up as a child? And, seeing these teams with like Meaham on, then they fold and then come back. What was your perception or perspective of women's soccer growing up, professional women's soccer?
At the time, I just knew Meaham, professional soccer, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be, or what I want to be, what I want to do. And I didn't really know the details, the specifics of it, until I started actually taking soccer very seriously, I guess, entering college, late high school, like realizing my talent was, D1 worthy. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome.
And there's another neat trivia we learned from your dad, because we were looking up the stat that you won a championship at Florida State and won a championship at Penn State. So it's definitely a one-of-a-kind trivia to win 2 national titles with 2 different teams.
That's pretty good. That's amazing.
I'm very fortunate, very lucky, very blessed.
And there's people that don't even get to one championship game like John and I. We couldn't even get on the field. And then you've got 2 titles, and it's kind of neat because you've experienced that championship caliber where you've been in some big games, and there's some that you've lost, some that you've won. So those are the kind of factors I think that really weigh strong in when you're going to Orlando, you've played in big games, you've been there, you've done that, and I'm sure that that's going to help you in some pressure situations you're going to be on and just playing professional soccer.
Yeah, I feel like that's when I'm at my best, is knowing that I'm kind of under pressure, and that, a lot of the result is at stake, and you just want to put your all out on the field. You want to wear your heart on your sleeve, and that's what I try to do in those big games.
So you won 2 different championships. It's a weird question to ask, if one meaning more than the other, but what was that feeling like, winning a second title for a different school?
Second title for Penn State. I mean, it was their first one, which was, you're making history, and doing that for Erica Walsh, Erica Dombeck, Ann Cook, Carol Lowry, Tim, everyone. It just meant so much to me, and the support that they gave me throughout the season, I'm happy that I could return the favor at the end.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal walking in and your junior year on paper, that your first year with them to go through that journey.
Mm-hmm. Just, talking to Coach Dombeck when I was thinking about transferring, and seeing how excited she was to the possibility of even getting me. I mean, there was no way that I couldn't choose Penn State, and I couldn't have made a better decision.
A little easier for your family in New Jersey to get to the games too.
Yeah, they were there every Sunday, or every Thursday, Sunday, Friday, Sunday. So very, very fortunate. And
just the experience of being at Penn State. I mean, it's such like you guys just at Penn State had the thaw this weekend, just the good that it does in the community, and just the amount of support that the state of Pennsylvania gives for it, how much money you guys raise.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it just brings the whole community together for a good cause.
Yeah, the support, everything, the resources at the school. Yep, very blessed.
So, from going from the pros to college, what's some of the things that you will probably miss the most about Penn State?
I guess like the sisterhood, that I built with them, and having only 2 years and having to go somewhere else now. I mean, I'm lucky I experienced that. On to my next journey. I'm excited, but I'm definitely gonna miss the friendships and relationships that I built here.
I mean, I think I was a little far off the mark. I was thinking like football game traffic and stuff like that.
Not gonna miss that.
No, that was crazy.
Yeah, don't try to drive on those days, man.
Definitely not.
Don't make plans, So, but no, I mean, let's start with your career. How you got into soccer. It's neat to ask how everybody got into soccer. That it's definitely in America, the big sports are everybody's talking about. Like basketball and football are so big, but soccer's definitely grown. So, how did you get into soccer itself?
I grew up watching 2 older brothers playing soccer, and kind of had to deal with them going off and playing football once they got to that age. But I would say starting soccer, playing that sport, watching my brothers, playing with them, kind of, they let me jump in with them. And so I was always, used to like all the aggressive play with the boys and stuff. So I think that they really challenged me, and that's what drew me to soccer. And then my dad started coaching me with another guy, and I think that also made me want to play. And then it was kind of cool because back in the day, my brothers were young and their coach would see me out, practicing or dribbling the ball on my own little girl. And he was like, come jump in with us. I was only 2 years younger, but I still will never forget that because I feel like that definitely had a huge part of my development.
So what kind of coach was your dad, Mike? Here's here in studio. You have to be brutally honest. You're on radio, and he's looking in the studio. So what kind of coach was your dad?
Oh God, well, rules. He just told me how it was, and at the time I would probably get really upset and let that get to me a little bit. But reflecting on it now, and even as I started to mature, as I got older, I realized that he was right. If I wasn't playing my best, I wasn't playing my best, and he was going to tell me how it was.
It's always good. It's coming straight from the house.
Yeah, you have to take it to heart.
And then growing up in the club level, what were some of the clubs that you played for in New Jersey?
I played for Ashley Hammond, Pasco Thunderbolts, or Montclair Thunderbolts at a point, and PDI under Mike O'Neill, Larry Hart, Seth, Meg Ryan. Yeah. A lot of different coaches.
Yeah, a lot of. It's interesting that the state of New Jersey and the state of California, they bookend our country, but they make up so much of some of the best soccer players in the world, and I just really think it's that Jersey attitude. I mean, what would you I mean, I have to gotta ask a Jersey native, why is it such a hotbed for women's players, successful women players?
To be honest, I don't know the specifics, but I would say, I don't know, there's just this little grit and this little bite, this little extra bite that I would say. A little feistiness. So I just, knowing that people expect that, I think that I try to bring that to the extreme a little bit.
Yeah, if it was up to me, there would be more Jersey players on the U.S. Women's National Team. I think it's that grit and physicality.
Yeah, Jersey
strong. Jersey players, that is really what's been the staple of, I think, U.S. soccer is we've been a physically imposing team and aggressive. That, there's different types of soccer throughout the world. You have your tactically strong players where Jersey players are tough first, then tactically strong versus being, she's really, really technically good, but she's not physical. And I think that for us to keep winning World Cups, we got to be physically imposing because Germany's right there with us. Sweden's right there with us being very physical. I mean, what are some of the international players you've gone against that have probably challenged you the toughest challenges internationally wise?
Who specifically?
I'm even specifically sure you can name players out there and boost their ego.
Well, I may mess up her last name, Dagny Bernstadter, Megan Campbell, Dagny from Iceland, and Megan from Ireland. Megan just has this bite to her. It's crazy. But Dagny, she loves the sport, loves the game. We would be doing planks, and she would always be making sure that our arms were face down, or our palms.
Yeah.
She's like, it's harder this way, and she's just pushing you to the next step and the next level, and you can only appreciate that and really embrace that.
I think that's the neat part about you becoming a pro. That there's so many teammates that you've had that have made you better.
Absolutely, yes. I'm thankful for that, and some great girls out there.
And then you get to be teammates with your friend Fields.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are beyond excited to get camp started, which is in a couple weeks.
You don't even know the half of it.
So if you could pick any one of the 11 position, like your dream position, what is one of your most comfortable positions on the field?
I like the 10 and the 6, I would say. I think the 8's a little in between, and you're just trying to figure out which one you should be in. It's kind of tricky, but I mean, I love them all. I love the midfield.
That's the right answer. Thompson might is listening. Yeah, that's the right answer. Because it's funny, John and I joke about when I'm doing college recruiting that you have some kids that they're stuck on one position. I'm a right back, and that's it. I'm like, you ever play left back? No, I'm a right back.
No.
I've already got 3 right backs on the team. I need a left back. I only played right back. Well, not for me.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think at the end of the day, I think one of the best answers I ever got was like, I'm a soccer player. Like you just, unless maybe goal. I mean, have you had an experience in goal?
Yeah, under my dad, actually, when he was coaching me, I would go in there a little bit. Definitely was doing that for quite a while, and then I just had to let it go. It wasn't for me. After I started getting cuts and bruises at that age. I was a little girl, and I didn't want that.
No, it's
no
true.
part of it.
And there's always a joke too. I can go in goal, but I'm going to stink it up on purpose so you never go in goal again.
Yeah.
So no, definitely one of those things where John and I've seen on so many different levels where a college player maybe play forward their entire college career, but then they drafted by a team, and some coach says, "We're going to try you out at right back and just try you out." You know, one of the names that comes to mind, John, is Shannon Williams. That was with the Union for quite a while. He was a forward for UNC, get thrown in playing right back, and then for 3 or 4 years started at right back.
That's right.
Like a mainstay.
He's fast, and he, could cover.
Man,
he did that fast cover guy, so hey, give right back a try.
Yeah, and it is sometimes these players are told by either parent or a club coach, this is your position, this is what you are, and they get ingrained that this is what I am. And I was a victim of that. I was told I was a defender, and that's it.
Yeah.
I was told, you're a defender. You're a right back. That's what you are. And it almost defined me most of my playing career because that's all I thought I could do and never got a chance to play anything else. So I think the biggest thing is just playing every position.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm on the field, I'm happy, and it doesn't matter where. Really doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is just getting out there and knocking the ball around. At the end of the day, you're all just soccer players.
That's right. And actually, I'm going to switch gears up a little bit.
Boom.
So we're going to take a dive into the mailbag. So mailbag at worldsportshow.com. It's the time for the fans, the people who listen to the show, have a chance to send us emails to voice their opinion, voice questions, whatever they feel, give us a little bit of feedback.
Sometimes
and
they send us recipes for food.
Sometimes they send them in.
It's not even a question. It's just an advice thing.
No, we every week we do get, because we sometimes talk about food on the show. You know, it's just a natural.
Sorry to talk in front of a professional athlete. We talk about food.
Right, local.
When you get old
I
like
could
us.
do some recipes.
Right, we talk about stadium food and different tailgate cultures. So people love writing in about recipes.
She's going to be our go-to player to let us know how the
Go-to.
Orlando tailgate is now. Now you're going to be
we need to know.
eyes in the sky.
We'll do a feature tour midway towards the season, but we want to talk about every stadium and every NWSL tailgate.
Perfect, yeah.
So let me kick it off. Start off for you, Charlie. What was your favorite and least favorite drill as a kid? And that's from Lou from Philadelphia.
Favorite drill and least favorite drill.
That's what Lou wants to know.
Least favorite drill was we had to run up to our local in cleats, which I never said why our coach made us. We had to run 2 miles to our local stadium because we actually played our high school games in a football stadium, proper, like holds 10,000 people.
Lou said, "What's your favorite?" He said, "Not a story." He said, "What's your favorite?"
Okay,
Let's go.
what's your favorite story? Is running up the stairs, running down the stairs, running up the stairs of an entire stadium, up and down the pre. That was my least favorite. I always used to use my asthma excuse to get out of it. But sorry, coach, my asthma's bothering me. I can't do sprints. So that and, like suicide's my least favorite. Most favorite. I guess when we do PKs, I mean everybody likes, I think, PK drills when you break up into team A and team B and you just do PKs.
Okay. I mean, I'll just let you know my least favorite as a defender was like your 2v1s, your 3v1s, just the amount repetition they just wanted the forward to get the touch. But I think my favorites were always the neutral player, like the 3v3 with a neutral. Just way there's flow. There's always some action going on.
Yeah.
So that's just growing up.
I like both parts of your answer. The 2v1, 1v1. No, I like 1v1s, but 2v1 or 3v1, just being that dummy defender.
Yeah, being the
they
odd
say
man
the dummy
out.
defender.
Right.
They call it a dummy.
I've been called that a few times.
And then my favorite would probably be 2v2 or 5v5, just in a small field.
Yeah. Always action in those small sided. Love it. Good stuff. And thanks from Lou from Philly from writing in.
Lou.
Next one, this is geared for Charlie. Who was Charlie's team to win the FA Cup? And that's Joe from Philly. I don't think we've touched on it when you were talking about it, but who's your favorite to win? Odds on.
Chelsea.
Shocker. I'm glad I fielded that question. You got a Chelsea fan answering for Chelsea, so there you go.
I mean, the big test is Chelsea, Manchester United. I think the winner of that game wins it all.
Okay.
I just think the winner, whoever wins the Manchester United-Chelsea game, that's my little escape out, that if Chelsea doesn't win that, it'll be Manchester United.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay, here's Ray from Philly asked, what is the max amount of kids one coach should train per session?
Wow.
Yeah.
One coach should train.
So there you go. You're a coach. What's the max amount of kids you got?
I think a roster of 18. You look at that, about 18 I think is the max.
Okay. I mean, it's I've saw you effectively coach 12 some kids. I think you're very good at coaching younger kids as well. So one is it depends on the coach, but I think once you're getting around 12 to 15, to coach and be effective as far as to make that point and to see technical. So I think the coaching the team is good, but effectively at training, I think when you're getting over double digits, it's like
I think you've been in those boats before too, depending on how many you've got. If you've got like 30 players and one coach, it's hard. I find it only coaching, and I've been in those situations that I want to give every player that attention and be able to see what they're doing, and it's very hard when you start, like John said, you get over that number. We've been in camps where there's 60 kids, and John are each coaching 30. I mean, it just feels like 30 kids.
Yeah. And
you really want to analyze each kid's play, but it's very hard when you have that many.
Yeah, and try and make sure that everyone's on the same page, following the same plan.
That's right.
It's definitely hard when you get into the college culture.
Okay. Perfect. Next one I got, it's actually addressed to Nicolette and it's asking Jill from Atlanta. So I guess people are following us on social media, knowing you're coming in. Do you have any pregame rituals?
As I mentioned earlier, I like eating a banana at least an hour or half hour, just knowing that I have something, at least one little thing in my stomach. And I mean, I just wear pre-wrap, so fixing my pre-wrap, putting that on, and I don't think I really have any specific pregame rituals besides, reading a few Bible verses and saying some prayers, but that's about it.
There you go.
Well, it's working. You got a couple championships under your belt. So maybe I need to eat a banana and do some pre-wrap and read a couple verses. But it's
that's it.
Okay, and we actually got one more for you. It's actually from Amy from Philadelphia, who gave about 30 questions for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down to 5 questions for you.
Perfect.
And you can just give me a one-word answer, and we'll try and knock this off real quick.
Okay.
Best diner in New Jersey.
You only got a couple to pick from. It's Jersey.
There's so many diners, and I go to all
I thought the same thing. I knew it was going to be a stumper. That's why I asked it first.
The one in the circle, the one in the roundabout.
Bad impression.
I wasn't even German.
It's in my town, obviously. It's called Preakness Diner, probably. That would be my favorite.
Okay.
Favorite shore point?
Seaside Heights.
Bon Jovi or Bruce Springsteen?
Bruce Springsteen.
Good answer.
Favorite boardwalk food?
Oh, can't do that to me.
It's off season, so
I would say pizza or fried Oreos.
Put the fried
funnel
Oreos
cakes.
on it. Oh man!
And the last one, favorite flavor of saltwater taffy?
I'm not a fan. Oh. I know.
It's okay.
When you enter the boardwalk, it says saltwater taffy. so big. So that's why I laugh, because Jersey Shore, man.
So there you go. Thank you from Amy from Old City. That was a lot. Like 15 plus questions.
Wow.
I figured I'd trim it down. So yeah,
cool.
I thought the funniest is asking a New Jersey person favorite diner. Diners everywhere.
Dude, that's what I said. Every roundabout there's a diner.
Yeah.
Roundabout.
They're so good.
Roundabouts. That's what I think of. Sorry. It's been many a times where GPS has gotten me lost in Jersey. Take a left turn. I'm like, I can't, dude.
But I think that, as far as fried Oreos, ooh, man, let me stop there. It's a sports show. We're talking about proper nutrition and game day preparation.
We're coaches.
Where are those recipes at?
Yeah, exactly. So we're coaches. So also want to give some fans out there some midweek television advice, a new little segment we're going to do, what to watch midweek. We always know that there's a lot of games on Saturday, Sunday. That's pretty obvious, with NWSL, MLS getting ready to kick off. But the midweek can be the kind of the drag. So I'm going to give some advice out there, recommended games to watch tomorrow. 2:45, Manchester City, Monaco, Champions League. Also, Leverkusen and Atletico, 2:45 Tuesday. Also starting tomorrow at 3 p.m. Univision, they're going to have the CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championships. That'll be going all week. Top 2 teams in CONCACAF go on to the 2017 Beach World Cup in Nassau, Bermuda. Wednesday, Porto and Juve Champions League. Also, Wednesday, 2:45, Sevilla and Leicester City. And another big announcement John and I debuted this past Saturday that we want you guys to help us out on GoFundMe is the World Sports Foundation. John and I are working on gathering up legal fees to form as an official nonprofit organization so we can start supplying children in developing nation football gear. And a lot of this was inspired by my recent trips to Turks and Caicos, where I took a lot of soccer gear down to kids in need, and I really realized how much need there is in just the world of soccer itself. And I think the biggest challenge is you can't just mail these items to these countries because there's a lot of corruption in the mail system, and there's a lot of import taxes to mail a lot of the soccer gear to foreign countries. So the biggest thing now is us gathering the gear and getting it transported down to these countries in need. John, I think you have another announcement to make, our weekly segment, which I look forward to every week.
That's right. Every week we got the segment which is brought back by the fans. I don't know why. Just like the same reason why we're asking about diners. When there's diners
why not?
everywhere.
The fans, give them what they want.
Now it's time for the weekend soccer butt whoopings from around the world.
So this segment's kind of funny, tongue-in-cheek, but we do look at the scores from around the world and see if there was any absolute butt whoopings from around the weekend, and yes, there was a couple. Syria, the Fighting Dolphins of Pescara, 5.
Fighting Dolphins.
To Genoa, nothing. The Fighting Dolphins. Syria team, too, the Dolphins, yeah. Turkish League, Division 1. I think, side note, people like me because half the countries and teams, I'm not even close to pronouncing right. So I think that's why people are like, hey, do it again, so they can sit home and laugh at me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip back. I'm going to go to my last one, the ultimate beating of the week, Costa Rican Premier Division. Limon, and I pronounced that right because I looked it up, 7-0 over Belén. 7-0 with one red card thrown in the mix. Straight red.
Straight red.
Wow.
Straight red. So it had to be an interesting game, and maybe next week we'll get the highlights and some sound clips for him.
What was the largest beatdown you were on losing in and winning in, Nicolette, in your college career? Ooh. Putting you on the spot. Any double-digit wins in there? Preseason can count, too, when you might be playing some D3 teams or something.
That I've given or that I've been on?
Either one that you got whipped up on and you did the whipping up on. Or even in your youth career. I can't remember that old 15-0 beating down.
Yeah, like those 4 or 5-0s when I was at like PDA. Yes, for sure. Penn State. I'd rather not say, but maybe it was against Pittsburgh. We got smacked a little bit in the spring season, but
yeah, spring season doesn't count, man. Yeah. It's just all about getting players play time in the spring.
Yeah.
But it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. Pittsburgh, Penn State, there's no such thing as a friendly.
Yeah, I think they're actually playing them this weekend, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah. That's the neat part about being a coach, that whether they're preseason or spring games, I never have to get my boys hype. They just show up.
Yeah.
And they want to play. It doesn't matter, and I think people forget, like, oh, but that's a D3, that's a D1, that's a JUCO school. At the end of the day, it's just 2 teams versus 2 teams.
Absolutely.
So, but no, I want to thank you again for coming all the way in from Happy Valley tonight. Appreciate it, Nicolette, and safe travels down to Orlando. We'll be watching closely and be a little bit jealous of the warm weather that you'll be in like 2 weeks or a week and a half.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for tuning in.
And big thank you to your father coming out here and supporting, and driving down and helping you get into the studio safe and sound. And we'll be back next week, everyone. This is Charlie Flo World Sports Show, John DeCriscio on WPPM LP Philadelphia. We're out.